Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
What's up? What's up, y'all? Can you hear us? Let me know. Drop a thumb in the chat if we're sounding good, looking good.
I mean, my video's laggy, bro. I'm not looking good. Look at that shit. Look.
Yeah, well, Juan's never looking good, but just kidding. We're very honored to have the singer from Deftones with us tonight. We're very honored to have the singer from Static X with us.
I don't
tonight.
look like the Chino Moreno, bro. Moreno, whatever the fuck his name is. Don't look like that.
No, very fresh cut, looking good. But we're talking. Speaking of haircuts, okay. Speaking of barbershops and getting a trim, we're deep diving Edward Scissorhands tonight. The 1990 film from, what's his name? Tim Burton.
Old
Tim
Timmy.
Burton.
Yeah.
And this is a series we've been doing every Thursday for the past couple months. We've been talking about movies and series, TV shows filmed in Florida or set in Florida. So Edward Scissorhands, this is a big request. A lot of people have been waiting for this one.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not, this is a lot of people's favorite movie. And we haven't been doing it because I don't like it. I don't like the movie one bit. I hated it when I was a kid. And we've been putting it off for as long as we can. But now we got to talk about it because it is one of the all-time great Florida movies. And I said great, not good. You know, the Beatles are a great band. Doesn't mean I like them, right? But
why don't you like it? Let's talk about it. What do you think of the movie? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the concept? And by the way, let's throw this in here real quick before we start, because it's interesting that, let me see if you guys can see this. Inspirations for the project, right? Influence by Universal Horror, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Phantom of the Opera, Frankenstein, obviously, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon, as well as King Kong and other various fairy tales. So we got the one from last week, right? Did we do that one last week?
Yeah, that's an interesting link between the last one we did.
Yeah, so
and this one.
Inspired again. They took inspiration, and we're gonna talk about it, right? The house, you can actually go. I think they sold it a couple years ago. The actual house that Edward stays in the movie in Lutz, Florida, and you can go there. It's actually a little museum that you can go to, and they'll give you like a tour. It's got Edward Scissorhands memorabilia and everything inside of it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because it's interesting that Creature from the Black Lagoon was in there. We can talk a little bit about, I know we've talked about Genesis and Florida being the Garden of Eden, that whole connection. I think this kind of sort of ties into that a little bit, right? And you can kind of see the parallels between the Beauty and the Beast and this sort of monster. He's a little bit different than Frankenstein, but it kind of, right, it's the ending, people kind of mob up on him and all this. But yeah, we can go through the movie if you'd like first and talk about it a little bit. But yeah, why don't you like it, dude?
I don't like it because it's creepy. It's not like a good creepy. It's not like an esoteric, occult mystery creepy. It's just like autism, weird, like Lynchian. He's kind of a contemporary to Lynch, but when they're kind of caricaturing like Americana, like the white picket fences, the neighbors are all nice and
Nosy.
cookie cutter, and yeah. And I don't know. It's just kind of very anxiety inducing. I don't like movies like that. But I just honestly, Johnny Depp is just weird. It's just kind of juvenile. I like juvenile movies. I like bad movies too. I just don't like it. I have an aversion to the character. I don't like Tim Burton. I should just say that. I like Johnny Depp. I don't like Tim Burton. I don't think I like a single Tim Burton movie. Can't stand it.
I liked, which was the one he did, Beetlejuice, right? That's the guy behind Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
which is also very creepy. His aesthetic is very creepy, very psychedelic, right? Like how you're saying you compared him to Lynch. You think he's like a Lynch type?
This movie is because that's kind of how I think of David Lynch, is who I like a lot. I like David Lynch's stuff. Um it reminds me of Blue Velvet, where it's like, I don't know how to say. I'm not a movie critic. I hate thinking like this. Fucking, but the juxtaposition of the like cookie
Oh no.
cutter white bread family with like the darkness and the creepiness, and it's just
Mhm.
kind of the way that Tim Burton does it, to me, felt cheap. I like the way David Lynch does it, but
You know what I really find interesting is that when you start to peel apart a movie, right? Hindsight's 2020, but when you start to peel apart a movie, like who was gonna play that role, or who would have been in that role, and you start to see other people, would it have been the same if, for example, I think Tom Hanks was picked to be in this at one point? I
you,
believe it was. Anyways, there's a few different options, and they settled in on Johnny Depp. They wanted to get Tom Cruise on it, who was hot at the time, but they didn't because I believe he didn't like the ending of it, and he wanted it to be have a happier ending. And obviously, this movie doesn't really have a. They actually talked about Michael Jackson expressed interest. Tom Hanks, William Hurt, Robert Downey Jr. Could you imagine these movies with these this particular movie? That's why it's like the perfect storm, right? Would it have popped off as well as it did if it wasn't for Johnny Depp? And right, Johnny Depp's weird history recently with the whole Amber Heard and everything. He's kind of like a real life uh, homunculus, I guess, because they cut his thumb off, they shit in his bed. Like there was all this weird stuff going on. You have Elon Musk tied in there too, because
yeah,
supposedly he was hooking up with Amber Heard. So we can kind
yep,
of link this.
ecstasy fueled threesomes,
We can
allegedly.
kind of link this into right the transhumanism a little bit in that aspect of it because they're all in that same circle, right?
Yeah,
But I always find that trippy of imagine Michael Jackson in this movie in some tight latex, weird bondage looking character. Apparently
yeah,
he uh he threw up a bunch of times doing this movie because of the heat in Florida because he was in this
damn,
latex suit. He had to
yeah,
get out. They did his makeup like 2 hours every day for like 4 months for this movie. And the scene where they're feeding him the ambrosia or whatever it was that they were feeding him,
ugh,
he
yeah,
actually threw up like 3 or 4 times during those scenes that they were doing. Like they were doing different cuts. So again, imagine running around in that in the Florida heat and humidity, dude. Can you imagine how
mhm,
sweaty your balls would get? How sweaty
yeah,
your ass crack would be, dude, after 5 minutes of being in that?
mhm,
Dude, no. It's crazy. So, anyways, let's talk about the movie a little bit, the premise, and then we can get into the I guess symbology of it. And I have some stuff that because apparently he saw what was interesting was that Burton had a dream of let me find it here. Go ahead and talk while I find it here.
Sure. This movie, let's talk about where in Florida it was.
All
I
right,
gotta
I
double
found
check.
it. It was near Tampa Bay, Lutz, Florida, and then there was
Lutz,
a
right.
facade of the castle in Dade City. I have it all pulled up here.
Hmm. Yeah, so the movie, it's not set in Florida, I don't believe, right? There's no mention of where they are in the whole movie, to my
Mm,
knowledge.
no, I don't think they do. It's
Yeah, so
supposed to be California.
they never talk about where he is or where the movie's set, but they do show, you can see it looks like most of the movie there's not much of a set. It's all
So
that's behind the scenes.
this is Dade. This is Dade City. So they were building the facade of the castle,
Yeah.
and there was this, I guess, production stage or something, and they did the outside shots of the castle. Where the hell did this guy go? Where'd you go? How are you gonna leave when I'm talking? I'm talking to you, bro.
Yeah, I
All right,
heard
all
you.
right. They took the plants and everything from, I forgot where. It's all in here, but yeah, this is them building the set, the facade of the castle. And this is
Hmm.
Dade City. This is not Lutz, Florida, where the movie took place.
Right.
And to get an idea, Lutz, Florida, I'm going to show you the actual house that the movie takes. You would never know that this is the house that Edward Scissorhands took place in, bro. Look at this. You can actually go here, and I guess they sold the house a couple years ago, and apparently the people in the house, so 1774 Tinsmith Circle, you can go there and knock on the door, and the people will give you like a tour. Like the backyard is all decorated, the inside is decorated with the when he cuts out the little devils of the paper and he opens it up, like they have actual memorabilia from the movie in the
Hmm.
house. And so, yes, this is the actual house in Florida, and this is what it looked like in the movie. It's completely different. Like you would never be able to tell that's the house unless somebody told you. They specifically painted all these houses these weird pastel colors for obviously for the scenes, and then they reverted them back to their original way. But yes, the house was sold recently, and you can kind of tell the people, right? Like they have their little hedges here. So, and there's a video of the inside of it, but here it is.
This comment is correct. The first thing that stuck out to me when I was watching the movie earlier today, it looks like Florida, it feels like Florida, but there's like no trees. It's just like grass,
Yeah.
yards, fences, almost no trees. I think each house has like one bush that Edward ends up kind of
Trimming.
carving it, yeah, shaping. Other than that, I didn't see any big trees in this
Nope.
neighborhood. So it gives it a very eerie kind of almost like video game map, right? Like you're in a video game.
Very
It's like,
Truman Show, bro.
yes. Oh, yeah. Very Truman Show. It has the same aesthetic and same kind of color palette as Truman Show.
Mhm.
Also,
Here you have the shopping center, Southgate Shopping Center. I don't know where this is at exactly, but it's somewhere in Florida. For sure, the house is in Lutz. You can go
mhm,
here. So the Edward Scissorhands house is officially a museum now.
right.
And I found the thing I was going to talk to you about. So this movie, they say, kind of peers into an aspect of Tim Burton for whatever reason. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's probably a little weird, judging from his aesthetics that he chooses to put in his movies and things like this. But the genesis of Edward Scissorhands came from a drawing by then teenage director Tim Burton, which reflected his feelings of isolation and being unable to communicate to people around him in the suburban Burbank. Now, he said that Burbank looked a lot different than it did when he was a kid, so that's why they chose this Florida location, because it fit his childhood memory of it better, which is the same thing of Truman, right? Isn't Truman's last name Burbank? Is it? Pretty sure
I
it
don't
was
think so.
Burbank. Truman Show. His name is, I'll tell you right now. Yeah, Truman Burbank. That's his last name because it was supposed to be set in Burbank, California. So all these directors, for whatever reason, they want to do it in California, but they end up shooting in Florida for whatever reason. But Truman Burbank is because they wanted to do it in Burbank, California. Now, what's interesting about this, the drawing depicted a thin, solemn man with long, sharp blades for fingers. Burton stated that he was often alone and had trouble retaining friendships. I get the feeling people just got this urge to want to leave me alone for some reason. I don't know exactly why. So we have this weird drawing, almost like a sort of egregore or demon. It reminded me of Slender Man. Now, what's interesting about Slender Man, have you ever heard of Slender Man? Like the urban
Of course,
legend
yeah.
that
Yeah.
drives people to do things, and it led to a stabbing of this young girl in, I forgot what city, because this Slender Man egregore told, like possessed these girls. Well, what's interesting about that is that, right, Slender Man stabbing, that was in 2014. Uh, right, the fictional supernatural creature Slender Man and prove that he was real, right, to stab her. Well, in Florida, there was a girl possessed by Slender Man who set her own house on fire because she was reading into this Slender Man story egregore. Now, what I'm getting at this is, I'm sure people in Hollywood have their own demons, maybe some allegorical and figuratively, right, have demons, and I'm sure that there are some who actually have actual demons commanding them to make these movies, in my opinion, right? And therefore that would kind of uh explain the imagery and things of like this, because in the movie, right, this particular movie, trample down the perversion of nature. You have like this super religious lady who's going around telling them that he's a demon of some sort. I interpret this differently, right? Perversion of nature, which is related to alchemy and things like this. So we can get into that later. But again, we have this lady who's like telling them, like, hey, he's a demon, you need to repent. And it kind of reminded me of that, because a lot of these people, especially in Florida, where you have Disney World, a lot of the Disney stories, the original stories, were a lot darker than what we're being presented, right? They're all based off of Grimm Brothers stories that have a lot darker endings, and I'm sure the symbolism was a lot darker. And then Disney comes along and kind of speaks to the monomyth within people, and they kind of twist it around so everyone relates to it. Usually the mother or father gets knocked out, right? And the main character goes through some sort of trauma in order to come, zero to hero type of thing. Everyone can resonate with that. I mean, that's the archetypal story in any movie, right? The good guy fighting the bad guy, and everything bad happens to the good guy, and in the end he pulls on through and he makes it, right. The light at the end of the tunnel. Go ahead.
This lady, she's pretty much right about him. I mean,
Yes.
he causes chaos, disorder, and ends up ultimately taking someone's life, right? And yes, the guy was
It
kind of
was
an asshole.
self-defense. Longo was
Yeah,
self-defense.
but if he wasn't there and if he wasn't committing adultery, none of that would have ever happened. But this lady is kind of right about him, right? They frame it as if she's the crazy person, she's the crazy Christian, but she's the only one that can detect that there's something wrong about him, that there's something off about Edward. Everyone else just kind of is so ignorant or just kind of in their own lane too stuck in like the being nice. Everyone's nice. The small talk, neighborly small talk, you know, like if you have something in your teeth, your neighbor might not tell you because they're not an actual friend, they don't want to have the uncomfortable conversation, right? So none of them are kind of addressing that there's something wrong with Edward, that he's troubled or whatever. Some of them are kind of spooked, but she's the only one who's making a big fuss over it. And eventually, later on in the movie, Edward, to our knowledge, has no like theological religious background, right? To our knowledge, from what we know so far in the story, he knows nothing about the Bible or like
He's kind of retarded. I mean,
religion. Yeah, he's uncultured. But towards the end of the movie, and I guess we're gonna have to give a little rundown of the whole movie. But towards the end of the movie, he takes revenge against her and carves the devil out of a bush in her yard. So he knows what the devil is, and he knew that, and he wasn't saying anything to anybody.
And that's what he made in the show and tell. He made little devils.
Did he? I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, and the show and tell, he made little devils, like cutouts of little devils. But you're right. How would he know, right? If he doesn't have any sort of theological standing or understanding of anything, how would he know what that is like? Right. Unless he came from some dark arts, right? So this is the mansion that we saw, the facade of the castle, I guess, this gothic steampunk-esque cathedral, I guess you could call it, church, whatever. And it starts out with she's telling the story of this guy named Edward, right? This thing named Edward. And we find out in the end that that's her, right? So she's telling, I guess, her granddaughter or somebody, the story. And it starts off and it's talking about this inventor who gave everything to this creation of his, a heart. I forget the words that they use, but again, anyways, like a heart and all these other things. And he never finished him. He was missing the hands, right? Because he had a heart attack before he could finish his creation. So it starts off with that. She's an Avon representative and she's going around trying to sell. You remember Avon? Is Avon still around? It's not around anymore, right? They went bankrupt.
No, I don't know anything about them.
It's like a cosmetic company. I used to wear a lot of their deodorant, but yeah, they went bankrupt. Again, we see this sort of thing. She's selling nail polish and no one's buying anything from her, right? And she's going to all her neighbors and this is her job. You can see she's not having any luck. And then she goes and she's like, all right, let me go to the top of the hill, which this kind of reminded me, bro, of Bok Tower, right? And it's not close to Bok Tower, but it's not far. It's like 45 minutes away, I want to say. Okay, so but it's interesting the imagery they picked for this castle of this inventor where this creation took place. So it's on a mountain.
Reminds me of Citizen Kane too.
Yes. Yeah. So we have the gargoyles and everything. And she pulls up to it, and obviously she's trying to sell Avon. She's like, I'm your Avon representative. It's interesting because this place, no one's supposed to live there, but they have all these beautiful hedges trimmed nicely. So somebody's been doing something here. And so she walks in and she finds, and it's interesting if you notice the hand in the center, you see? Almost like he wants hands, right? That's his whole thing. He wants the hands, and you see it there in the center. It's one of his centerpiece, essentially. And so she knocks it. She knocks and she walks in, and then obviously she stumbles across some really weird stuff. And Edward is there, and then she kind of he's like living in a chimney or whatever, and looking abandoned. He's got pictures and things up, and she stumbles across him, and then she adopts him. Essentially, is what she does. And this suit, it was supposed to have like a cooling mechanism, I guess, so he could wear it all day. And he chose not to wear the cooling mechanism because it was like too bulky. So he's straight raw dogging it, bro, in the Florida heat Like a lot of these interior shots were shot in California because the interior shots of the mansion were shot in California sometime. But they filmed for 4 months in Lutz, Florida. So he was wearing this suit for quite some time in Florida in that heat. So I
Let's
can only
talk about
imagine.
let's talk about the suit for a little bit, okay? What's up with the gimp suit, Tim? Mr. Burton. Interesting choice for the character. Yeah, let's put him in a gimp suit. Put him in a Leatherman, like
Mhm.
Dune space outfit. Exactly. A BDSM. Tim Burton's a sick puppy.
Oh,
I'll tell you
100%.
that. He's a
Yeah.
sick puppy. And the other comment earlier about Fight Club being like an unofficial sequel, sister movie to this movie
What?
with
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait, what?
yeah.
Is that Tim
Helena.
Burton? That's not Tim Burton, is it?
No, but Helena. The link between the two is Helena or Helen, Helen or Helena, Helen Bonham Carter.
The drug
Forget her.
addict?
Yeah, Helen Bonham, whatever her
She
name
did
is,
other
Helena.
Tim Burton movies, and she did that movie
Yes,
with Johnny Depp too.
yes,
I think
and
she did a few.
I think she was in Harry Potter, and I think Johnny Depp was also
And they did
in Harry
Sweeney
Potter.
Todd together.
Did
The
they?
Demon Barber. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was that Tim Burton.
I don't yeah, that's a good question. Sweeney Todd. Let's see who did that. The Demon Barber of Fleet Street 2007. It was done by
Tim Burton.
uh
Yep, Tim Burton.
hold on. There's a couple here because it's based off of I actually saw that in real life, the actual play. Yeah, it's Tim Burton from a screenplay by John Logan based on the musical of the same name, which I did see. I saw it in Lakeland actually. So I saw Sweeney Todd, the acting, right, the actual play in Lakeland at their community city something or other. It was like some place that they have out there. But yeah, I did see that. But interesting, right? So we have again this other connection, which we're going to be talking about barbers, maybe, and
Yeah.
that connection
Well,
to.
Tim has this fetish. Tim has a look that he likes out of his boys and girls, and he makes
Oh,
Johnny Depp. He makes Johnny Depp dress up like this, and then in his other movies, he makes Helena Bonham
Carter.
Helena, yeah, Carter dress up almost like the same person. She looks in multiple movies looks just like uh, Edward Scissorhands. Also, guys, keep an eye out for this about the lady accusing Edward Scissorhands of being Satan. Towards the end of the movie, I think that it's conclusively proven that Edward Scissorhands is Satan or represents Satan in some way,
Ooh.
represents the devil.
Mm.
Yeah.
He's
But
gentle though, dude. He's just a gentle giant. He just wants to be friends.
you know what other movie this reminds me of? Have you ever seen the movie about the little girl that's a vampire?
Gonna have to be more specific about that, bro. Little girl who is a vampire, and what else?
She's Abigail. Okay, Abigail. I think that's what it's called. Hang on.
Abigail.
No, it's not Abigail. Sorry.
Let's see. Is it Abigail? Is a 2024 horror
Let
comedy?
me in. It's Let Me In. It's called, in Swedish, it's called Let the Right One In. In English, it's called Let Me In. See if you can pull that up real quick.
Yeah,
The Wikipedia for that.
here.
It's a very
This one?
interesting take. Yeah, it's a very interesting take on the vampire story, right? The vampire trope. This is a very interesting take on it. It's basically where there's a little girl, she's 12 years old. Yeah, 12-year-old girl who's getting bullied. She's new in town. She's getting bullied. And she is seemingly like always in the right spot to get bullied in front of this other kid to where this other kid, this boy, starts like developing like protective feelings over her, like he wants to stand up to the bullies, you know, because and every time he sees her, like, yeah, he feels bad for her, wants to be her friend. He starts developing feelings for her, right? And she's a cute little girl, right? You know, nothing to be afraid of. Just feel bad for her. Turns out, we're talking about a different movie, so I'll give you the short version. This little girl is actually a vampire. And this is how she's an immortal vampire. I'm way more interested in this movie than I am Edward Scissorhands. But this girl, little girl's an immortal vampire who's been around like since medieval ages. Like she's been around, she's like 1,000 years old, right? And this is how her and her species have evolved to like for survival, is not by fighting or like, you know, terrifying people. It's by befriending people, like getting people to stick up for them. And instead of being scary and hiding in the dark, they're like, she acts very wimpy and provokes people to feel protective over her, get involved in her life, and then she uses them as like that's her thrall. You know, that's a vampire thing. That's always been a part of the vampire legend, is that they can enthrall people, right?
Mind control, yeah.
Yeah, and something that I'm linking to Edward Scissorhands is, I don't know if he's a vampire. There's nothing really vampiric, but it seems like he can enthrall people, and this bone-chilling effect he has on the viewer. But everyone around him's like obsessed with him. You know, all the girls want to bang him too in town.
Mm-hmm.
The one girl especially, which we're gonna get to. But in this vampire movie, this little girl, you realize over the movie, that's how she gets by. That's how she stayed alive for so long. And there's a lot of like parallels and analogies, commentary on like society. Like, is this how women act? Like in general, you know, is this how kids like learn to act? Is this how whatever? But at the end of the movie, you know, and she starts killing people in the movie. Like she shows her true colors. But you find out that her dad, what's supposed to be her dad in the movie, is just the last little boy that she got to become like her guardian when he was a 12-year-old boy.
Whoa.
Sucked his whole life out of him, made him give up his whole life to become first like her boyfriend, to protect her, keep her safe, pay for her. And then as he gets older and she stays the same age, she's stuck as a 12-year-old girl forever. The boyfriend becomes the dad, and then she starts looking for a new boyfriend. And she swaps them out like a hermit crab swaps out a shell. Okay? And this is, yeah, the way better movie than.
This is the kind of shit you watch, bro?
I mean, you can tell I'm more interested in that one. But basically, she, at the end of the movie, you realize she's not even a girl. So not only is she ruining lives, she's a boy who cut off her genitals,
bruh. What?
to make herself look like a permanent 12-year-old girl. And she doesn't age because she's a vampire.
Jesus,
But
dude.
I couldn't help but think about that movie like the whole time I'm watching Edward Scissorhands.
Maybe that's why Edward doesn't want to do it. He's missing the gold member, right?
And you never see him take off his clothes. You
No.
never see what's underneath that suit, you know, and he's so
The
pale.
doc forgot to put the cock in the robot, and it can't. That's why he's not interested, right?
Yeah.
He was gonna put the hands in before he got to that part. So, anyways, all right. That's a weird movie, dude. That's 2010, so that's kind of old.
Here, let's talk about this real quick. Vehicular Alchemy with the $9.99. Hey, boys, I tried to leave a bit on Juan's page too, but there was no supercharge button.
Demonetized, baby.
So here's 5 for each of you fellas to get the juices flowing, and maybe other will join me in tipping y'all.
Appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man.
After taxes and everything, you owe me $250. Narco. So I'll pick it up when I stop by the bookstore. So have it ready for me, bro. So,
Okay.
all right, we have him in a weird gimp suit thing. He's not interested in any activities with women, obviously, but he kind of develops romance. Yeah, I'm not seeing shit from that super chat. He kind of develops a romance with Winona Ryder. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Her character, right? They kind of fall in love, and it is a romance story where he wants to embrace her, but it's like the Midas touch. Whatever he touches, he destroys because he doesn't have real hands. But it's kind of weird because he can do really beautiful things with his hands, like do people's hair, do the dog's hair. He's very creative. He can do the hedges and weird shapes, but he can't love anyone physically, right? You can't hug them because he would
Right.
destroy them. So it's kind of like a double-sided thing. It's like a paradox where you can make beautiful things, but you just can't touch anything. And it reminds me of, again, the Midas touch where everything turns to gold. It's valuable because it's gold, but is it really valuable when everything turns to gold, even the people you go to embrace and things like that. So
Mhm.
here we have
Yeah.
him.
And a variation of that story is the green thumb, too. Anything you touch turns to green. Gardeners, a gardener is said to have a green thumb. A good gardener,
Yes.
you compliment him, you say you have a green thumb.
So here she's kind of right riding him around, and he's obviously never been out, right?
Yeah, and see what I mean about the vampire stuff, like, and you bring up a good point. Like, not only can he not hug anyone, to me, that's not the main thing for him. It's just that he doesn't show, like,
Emotion.
yes, yeah, exactly. So when all these people are like, they're so in their heads, like, oh, do I love Edward? Do I not? It's like, where are you getting that from? He hasn't even said anything. Uh, I feel like this is normalizing like autistic behavior. I feel like, getting girls to just go crazy over like the mentally unstable and, punks and fringe
Look at his
creatures. And
suit, bro.
yeah,
What? What is that? People cosplay as that too, by the way.
yeah,
So here we go. We have her. This is the lady that's kind of
right. Sex,
seductive, right?
sex crazed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Notice
So
she's got head hair. She's got red hair too.
oh,
They're like, yeah.
without a soul and the Nephilim connection too. All right. So here
We
it
got to talk.
is. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to say, we got to talk about too. Apparently, have you guys heard about this? Tim Burton has been accused many times of being racist. Have you guys heard about this? Now, I'm not saying I agree or disagree or whatever, but it's a thing. It's like the only scandal attached to Tim Burton that I know of is Hollywood thinks he's racist because he only casts white people in most of his movies. So most of the casts of most of his movies are all white, like very cookie cutter white bread family. And in this movie, I noticed a lot of red hair, a lot of people dressed in red too. As the movie goes on, there's more people dressed in red. But that's something that people say is that Tim Burton is
I mean, the cop's
racist.
black, right?
Well, there's something to be said about that because he does a terrible job at his job and he quits and like doesn't do anything. He's very hands off sheriff, but
So here
and
he is trying to
yeah,
eat,
go ahead.
right? Very, very creepy. And how many lines does Johnny Depp say in this movie? If any at all. He says very few lines. And this is like one of the most this is a
Yeah,
big movie. Like this is how you're saying has a cult following and people really like this movie. Now, if it was to brainwash people to like all other autistic people or something, who knows? But he barely says anything in the entire movie, which I found super interesting of like, you're developing this character, and I think he's a good actor. I mean, I like Johnny Depp. I like his movies. Maybe he does a great job at kind of showing the true nature of the character by not saying anything. And I believe he watched and studied silent films for this role in order to be able to express better with his face versus actually talking and saying lines. So again, maybe he's a genius by doing it this way, but he really doesn't say much throughout the entire movie. So here she is. She's kind of like putting more makeup on him. This is when they discover that he can carve out these crazy sculptures out of the hedges, and we'll talk about, I guess, hedge magic later, which is an actual. It was funny because you and I were kind of, you were kidding, like, "Oh, is there such thing as hedge magic? Let's make that up." Well, it turns out that there is actually a such thing as hedge magic, not the hedges that you would think. Right? We'll get into it
Well,
here in a little bit.
well, I was trying to tell you about edge magic. That's what I was trying to talk
Oh,
about.
that's well, you can't edge if you're Edward Scissorhands, bro. So here we go. This guy, he's doing sculptures. He goes on, and again, everyone's the people in this movie are super nosy, so they want to know who she has over, who he is. But then when they meet him, they're that more intrigued, and it kind of goes into what here's the lady in that scene where he's a perversion of nature. So she
Yeah.
comes out, she's warning everybody, and she's like, "Oh, you don't
Yeah, but
say."
what's crazy is she just ran him in from the driveway to the front door, and
Yeah.
the entire neighborhood heard about it. And all these girls, Juan, let's call it what it is. They're horny as hell. It's almost like they can smell like fresh meat, in the next room over, like just got
Should have
taken.
been Edward Dildo Hands, right? That's the unofficial that's the one. It's like, hey, I downloaded the wrong movie meme, like, I don't remember this
No,
part.
Edward Scissor,
Oh yeah.
just scissor. I don't know, scissor
Oh,
something.
yeah. Well,
Chicks.
it's okay,
Scissor.
bro. Dildo Hands. You can easily fit that one in there. I'm sure there's probably a parody of that.
Bedward Scissor Hands. That's fine.
No, Bedward Scissor Pants. Sister
Sister
Pants.
Pants.
Jizza Hands. All right, so the chat's already on it. They
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Edward
probably one. Hold on, let me see this on. Oh man, my
Scissored Edward Hands. Damn.
my search history is toast. Hold on.
The chat's funny. Well, here, all these chicks are like ovulating because Edward's in town. This goes back to like the vampire thing. What power does he have over these people? It's like unspoken. When you're watching the movie, it's easy to forget that he's just like, they're acting like he's Johnny Depp, the celebrity Johnny Depp. You know what I mean? Like they're acting like the paparazzi, like this is someone famous. This is just some weird creep they pulled out of a mansion like half hour ago, and now the whole town wants to meet him. And same
Right.
thing with the other lady. Half the neighborhood wants to bang him right off the bat for some reason, foaming at the panties. And then the other chick knows that he's evil right off the bat. Right off the bat.
So there is a corn movie named Edward Dildo Hands. You want to read it? It was aired September 23rd, 2024.
September 23rd, 2024. I know. I was.
Yeah. Edward is a lonely guy. His
there.
stepmom Annie wants to show him that he can do nice things, so she calls her friend Jessica to work on her plants, prune her bush. Inspired by his skill, the two MILFs trade Edward's fingers for rubber dildos. So somebody did take the idea. We can't take the idea, bro. It's called MILFwood. So if people want to check Edward penis hands.
Edward's sister hands.
Oh, somebody did it. Somebody couldn't resist. They saw this and they were like, yo, we got to get in on that. So
Damn.
All right. Anyway,
Edward's scissor pants.
Here we go. We have these ladies all here. They're cooking for him, blah, blah, blah. And then this is the interesting part. Here's where we kind of have a backstory as to what Edward was actually supposed to be. And I thought this was gonna like I've seen this movie before, but it's been years. I thought this part was gonna push him over the edge, right? I'm like, will this make Edward snap? Does he have a weird cutting fetish? Like, what's going on with? Because his face is all cut up too, right? And
Yeah.
if you see the flashbacks, his face is fine when he's talking to the inventor. So maybe throughout the years of trying to eat or trying to like get dressed or something, he cut his face. But he sees the can opener and he kind of goes into a trance. And then there's a flashback and it shows the origins as to what he was originally supposed to be and how it came to be. So apparently the inventor had robots and things and he was making cookies. And we have these weird, right, steampunk, got the black and white checkered board there, floor.
Oh, damn. Didn't even notice that. The floor.
You
Yeah.
have these vessels there, I say, right? So very alchemical, steampunk, whatever. It's an old guy. Kind of like Willy Wonka that Johnny Depp plays in a Tim Burton
Oh,
movie. Right?
good point.
So back
Good
again
point.
to this connection to the weird, right? And he's looking at his assembly line and they're making, I think, Christmas cookies. They're making something. He has a heart. And then he sees, oh, well, he sees this one robot that has the hands that Edward has. And he goes ahead and he puts the heart in front of it. And you can kind of see, damn it, 23. I want to show the front of it. Oh, whatever. Anyways, you see right here, this one's like cutting stuff up and he puts the heart in front of it. So you can see he gets the idea of like, hey, I have all these machines. What if I could create a humanoid or something? Edward Goonerhand's got Glocks for hands. So that's the genesis, I guess, of the starting story of how Edward came to be as an idea by this inventor guy right here. He puts the heart up and then he goes, what if? What if? And so it cuts to this party. And again, this lady's trying to seduce him the whole time. And he doesn't know any better, right? So he's kind of naive. He's kind of, I wouldn't say dumb, but he's very innocent, right? He's very innocent. And that's why later on in the movie, they don't even charge him with the breaking and entering because they believe he's not like mentally fit. And that was why the cop had sympathy for him. He's like, yo, is he going to be okay? And the guy's like, oh, he doesn't have the, cognitive level of blah, blah, blah because of isolation, which we know isolation does things to people. People who are put into isolation in jail and things like that, it messes you up. There's been streamers who have streamed from the dark, like isolated for hours and hours, and they have effects that last them years after the fact. So imagine being like stranded on an island like the Tom Hanks movie where you eventually start making friends like Wilson or something, right? Like you need that human interaction. So
Right.
there's this party here, blah, blah, blah. They're feeding him. He's doing the shish kebabs. And then this is the scene where I told you that he throws up, where they
Yeah.
were feeding him over and over again. He actually threw up like 4 times.
Well, let's talk about what she made that she keeps talking about. Because I think when she went to the door earlier, it's the redheaded lady. Exactly. She came up with this idea. She was like, oh, aren't you having a barbecue today to introduce us all to your new friend? And she's like, I'm going to make my ambrosia salad, my famous ambrosia salad. Then she says it again when she sees Edward. And I'm sure it's a real thing, I guess. It's like pineapple and let me look it up. Ambrosia salad.
Well, you know
It's
what
a real
ambrosia
thing.
what ambrosia is, right? Like the actual ambrosia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the Bible.
Well, from mythology, ambrosia
Right.
is
Sorry. Yeah.
the
You're
food
right.
of the gods, right? So believed to grant immortality or eternal youth upon consumption. And
It's like manna.
Jeffrey Dahmer worked at Ambrosia Chocolate Company, by the way.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I said the Bible and then I was thinking of manna. But it's like manna. It's like a
goopy
honey, who knows what. But The ambrosia salad, I thought that was interesting. That she's giving it to him. He throws it up. What type of entity would throw up ambrosia? A dark entity, right? If
Well,
we're
the
taking
actor
this,
threw up. So it
yeah.
was Johnny.
No, but
Johnny.
she threw up. She throws up in. He throws up in the scene. I don't know
When
if
she
she's
offers him
feeding him.
lemonade because of the drink
Right.
the
Okay.
night before.
You're right. Lemonade. Yeah. You're
He
right.
goes lemonade, and then because he got drunk the night before with the guy because he never drank before. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't because of the ambrosia, but the behind the scenes of this movie, the
Is that a
actor Johnny Depp.
pineapple in the
Yes.
basket?
Yep.
Oh, they're trying to get freaky. They're trying to take him downtown, uptown, front and back, left and right.
Let's swap those hands out.
Well, here, I got something else to say real quick.
Do it.
Okay. When we're introduced to the family, I forget which scene it is, but it's like 10 minutes or so in. You find out their last name is Bog. They're the Bogs. Isn't that interesting? Now, a little bit of a stretch, but half of the cast has the last name Bog. There's 4 or 5 family members, and they have the last name Bog. And that's kind of like most of the people in the movie, especially of the people who we know their last name. I think they're all named Bog. But they're the Bogs. Okay, well, what's a bog? It's, it's like a
I know what a
swamp.
pog is. You know what a pog is?
I know you know what a pog is, Juan. Fucking goon master. PAWG.
That's right.
Yeah. I know
So
what a
where do
pog
we
is.
see their last name? Because I'm trying to find it here. Or do they say it? Do they say it? Or is there like a sign or something that? Oh, right here, the bogs, right here, the family crest.
Yeah, the
Is
Bogs.
that a beehive? What is that?
It's like I don't know what it is, but it's a family crest. Looks like it has a castle or a lion on it.
Yeah, like 2 swords.
So, but a bog, it's like a swamp,
Yeah.
little pond, marsh, whatever. Well, Florida is famous for its bog bodies. Bog bodies.
Yes. The bog saga.
The bog saga, yeah, the bogs. But Florida's famous for its bog bodies. Most famously, the Windover Bog site. This is near Titusville, east coast of Florida, kind of close to Orlando-ish,
Vero
but
Beach?
up against the coast. No, not Vero Beach. The bog bodies. Windover site.
Wasn't that the
if you
Vero
saw-
man? Oh, the
No,
Windover.
Yeah, Vero Man's a little different. But the bog bodies at Windover, they pulled at least one giant out of the Windover bog.
Here we go. Yeah, the
And
Windover.
they say that these are 8,000 years old, 8,000-year-old bodies in
Wow.
Florida. They were very well preserved when they pulled them up. And this is, like Juan said, the Vero Man and the bog bodies, those are like the 2 most famous archaeological or anthropological discoveries in Florida. And then there's another one in Warm Mineral Springs, which is pretty significant. But the Windover Bog, that's the most kind of significant discovery in recent Florida archaeology. And the Windover site, it something like 100 people, 50 people, 100 people, a lot of people, a lot of bodies. And when they pulled them up, they called the police. I assume you'd probably call 911 no matter what if you found a body, but they called 911 because they thought this was like a fresh murder scene. They thought that they had discovered a serial killer's dumping spot because the bodies were so well preserved. So that's a testament to how preservative some of the water in Florida is, because it's so mineral rich and because it's oxygen free, this bog water. Oxygen free, nothing decays. It just stays preserved, if not like mineralizes. So the bog bodies, they came up. I don't know if they had hair, but from the pictures of ones like that, it looked like they had hair, and they looked fresh, looked like they had died recently, very recently. That's what the people who found them said. So the bog bodies, yeah, on screen there you can see it. Water burials. They try and link this to like a water mortuary culture that existed in Florida in ancient times, where they would bury their dead in shallow ponds. That was their preferred kind of ceremonial method of burial. They would take their dead and lower them into ponds, and then they'd drive stakes through them, or they'd be in like a basket, and the basket would be staked down to the bottom of the bog. So they're like pinned to the bottom of the swamp. And over time, this is like 8,000 years ago. So they were submerged underwater back then. Water level rises even higher since then. Now they're even deeper down, encased in more stuff. And when they pull them out 8,000 years later, they look like they just got buried like a year ago. They're incredibly fresh.
With their brain still intact. That's crazy.
Still had brains. Yep. Skin and brains.
All right. So
Bogs.
the bogs. All right. Here we go. We're at 37 something or other. So they got the party going. And now they're talking about golf on there. They're like, "Hey, you're invited to golf with us." And then when I saw this scene that she was kind of like pushing to eat her ambrosia, there's some witchcraft where women put their blood in the food to.
Oh, I know one. Okay, come on.
All right.
You know how many? Ain't my first rodeo. Okay, you know how many times it's been.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to 5 Leaf Clover for gifting the 5 memberships over on the Juan and I Media channel. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you, dude. So yeah, anyways, that is part of some witchcraft where women put their blood in the food to cast a spell over the man, like a love spell, things of that nature. It is and that kind of ties into what you were saying about witches and them being barbers or workers in salons because they like to take the hair of people to do things with it.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that yet. That was off stream when we were talking about that. But yeah, a little bit later, I think that's what she does. He starts doing that as a job. I just got the hiccups. Sorry.
Here, we'll talk about this. Oh, well, go ahead and talk about that, and then we'll talk about this.
He starts doing hairdressing for dogs, and it seems like she does something similar for her work. And then his mom or adopted mom is in that industry too, kind of cosmetics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I was telling Juan before we went live that it's common for witches to work in jobs like hairdresser. Why? Okay, well, let's list them. Hairdresser, dentist, orthodontist. Okay. Fields of work where you're literally like clipping parts of people's bodies off and disposing of them, hopefully. But you don't have to dispose of them if you don't want to. If you're in charge, if you're cutting people's hair, you can do what you want with the hair. As long as they see you kind of sweep it up and like bring it.
That's why I cut my own hair, dude. I don't go to salons.
Yep.
I work hard for my hair, so I keep it.
It's a good reason to, because witches really do believe in this stuff, that if they have a piece of your hair, they can do a lot with it. They can get a lot out of you. It's almost like having your social security card, right? Spiritually speaking, like behind the veil.
Magic, yeah.
Exactly. Your DNA is in there, right? So
This is a good comment right here. Shout out to Polybius. They used to do surgery as well.
well, yeah. And that makes me think of also dentists, like I said. What do the dentists do with your teeth when they take them out? They just go in the trash. I had a friend tell me that they ask for all their teeth. That when they go to the dentist or whatever they have done, they say, give me the tooth. I'm not leaving here without it. And go have a look through all the movies and stories about witches using hair, teeth for dark rituals and stuff like that. So also we were talking about how Brazilians, people of the Brazilian faith, let's just say, Brazilian bankers and Brazilian, just kidding. That Brazilians are often Brazilianish. They are often hairdressers. No, sorry, they're not often hairdressers.
Dentist.
But we're gonna talk. But we're gonna get to that part of the movie. Thank you, Juan. They're often dentists and orthodontists. Yes, they're often doctors in general, but orthodontists and dentists, if you're in Florida or California, or probably New York, they're like all Brazilian. Okay. Yeah, be careful. The wisdom teeth. Yeah, be careful.
Oh, he's fucked. He left it in Mexico. I think he told me about that too, actually.
Yeah. And people are going to like Turkey for like hair transplants. They're literally like scalping you and keeping your scalp in Turkey, and you're getting like a Turkish kid's
some dead
scalp.
Man's scalp. Like
they're putting a piece of your they're putting a piece of a random
scrotum on top of your
you got a random guy's ass cheek on your head.
Some dude's asshole hair just like on your fucking forehead or something, dude.
It's the hardest. It's the hardest I've ever seen Juan laugh.
Oh, that's funny, bro. I never thought about that. Some dude's fucking gooch skin on your fucking on your forehead, man. Don't be doing that, bro. Just shave it off, man. Just give up. Just give in, embrace it. If you're losing your hair, don't even waste your money on that. Don't do that. Oh man. All right. So, all right, continue, dude. You can't be saying stuff like that. All right. Juan tried chia growing his head. Yeah. I'm not going bald. I just prefer less maintenance. That's why I shaved off the mustache, because I got tired of fucking having hair in my mouth all the time. That shit's annoying, dude. So it's just like shave it off and then just don't have to worry about combing your hair in the morning. Just do your face and ride out, bro. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think your boyfriend complained about the hairs poking.
Yeah.
Poking him, yeah.
On some Kanye West shit, bro. His cousin
you were like, babe, I want a beard. He was like, babe, it hurts. You're like, fine, we'll compromise. Just kidding.
You caught me, dude. All right, so here we go. This is the part. Are you done with the witches and the hair and the teeth and all that?
Well, we're gonna get back to it when he starts cutting hair, and he gives the succubus, the redheaded chick, he gives her a haircut later in the movie. But we'll get to it.
He has a dream, and it goes back to it shows some plans of the inventor, and I think this is right here. So here we go. So we have his anatomy. We see his anatomy. He doesn't have a schlong, all right? So he's got to use his hands, but we see how he was created. Again, this is very similar to the original story, allegedly, where this comes from, which is an 1845 German children's book called the Der Struwwelpeter, and it's again for children, and it's to teach them, lessons and things of that nature. And the one that is kind of Edward Scissorhands with this guy here is a story about a boy, a lazy, dirty boy who does not groom himself properly and is consequently unpopular. So kind of you see it's kind of inverted in this movie because he is popular because he is different. So, but this was taking, inspiration from various stories, including this one from 1845. Now, we see his anatomy. He's got a heart. He's got some parts in here. This is his lungs. Blah blah blah. We see that he's got like some kneecaps and things like that. So essentially, he is an android humanoid type of thing, and we see the inventor here reading to him about etiquette and teaching him,
Yep.
when it's okay to do things, when it's not. And he kind of cracks a joke, and you see the character of Edward Scissorhands. You see he doesn't have any cuts here, right? You see that.
Yeah.
And let's read some of these books. What do these books say? We have engineering news, chemical and engineering news. We have some medicine in there. We have some stuff, right? I don't know if he was an alchemist or not, but he's got some stuff in there. And he's teaching him about how to be human, right? But he's half man, half machine, I guess. And there was an interesting fan theory that I saw on Reddit where people were theorizing if the inventor was taking parts of himself to give to Edward. Because think about it. Where do you get the body parts from? Some of his parts are machine, sure. Where the hell did he get a head? Right? Where do you get a heart? Is
Yeah.
this dude again like some pseudo Frankenstein? Because it is very Frankenstein-esque, right? This story, where kind of the creation destroys the creator. In the end, he kind of goes haywire and starts offing people, which is the archetypal Frankenstein story. Now,
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider him a homunculus per se, more of a golem, right? Because golems are more robotic AI. They lack a soul, which is, and this is where the comment of the lady in the beginning comes into play, because a lot of these creations that these alchemists would create were perversions of nature. They were occulting the occulted nature of the occulted aspects of nature. So they were taking things that were supposed to be, occult in nature and exposing that, bringing that to the front. And that's how you get abominations like the homunculus, because they were mixing things that God put in reality in a sort of alchemical way to bring forth this thing. And as long as they weren't messing with demonic influences or demonic entities, it was considered Christian magic. It was considered natural magic. So a lot of these alchemists were able to exist with the church at the same time because they were practicing good magic, right? Because they weren't using demons to help them in their work for whatever reason. So when this lady came out and was like, he's a perversion of nature, absolutely that can be interpreted in an alchemical sense, because he is an abomination of nature. But where the hell
So
did the body parts come from? Go ahead.
right here, his legs are off. Right. It looks like
Yeah.
he's sitting cross-legged almost, but his legs are off.
Yeah, he's on top of the
Now,
table.
what's interesting here is his hair is really nice too. Like his hair is normal. It's not all fucked up and like homeless. And like you said, he doesn't have any scars. I just noticed this. Like someone pointed it out in the comments. I didn't even notice. This is how the male brain works. Okay, a girl would notice right away, but apparently he doesn't have eyebrows for most of the movie. I
Oh,
didn't even notice.
oh.
At least in this scene, he doesn't. But him not having eyebrows, you know what it makes me think of?
What?
John D. Rockefeller.
He didn't have eyebrows?
People. He had alopecia. He lost all his hair. Something like alopecia.
Oh, wow.
All his hair fell out. And some people say that is a devil thing.
Ooh.
That it happens to people who engage in, it happens to innocent people, but it's been said that
There he is right
it's
there.
been
No hair.
yeah, it's been said that the Slender Man like archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think John D. Rockefeller was the devil, you know, father of industry. He's, sharp dressed. Etiquette, too. The whole thing about etiquette, it's said that Satan has good manners, right? The sharp
Oh,
dressed man,
yeah.
right?
With
This,
that
this
hat, right?
gentlemanly. Think of like Al Pacino and Devil's Advocate, too. That Satan is a very well dressed, well put together guy. You know, he can lose it and go ape too. But this thing about Satan having class and etiquette, this scene also makes me think of all the scenes in the house makes me think of Mordor and Sauron, right? It's like,
Yes.
oh, the Shire, beautiful, elves, Rivendell, the Shire, everything's sunny and beautiful. But nobody's talking about this giant like black mountain, that right? Like they were kind of ignoring it when it was like forming, like all the orcs are just starting this big army and people are acting like it's not even there until it's a really bad issue.
Yeah, The Nightmare Before Christmas too has that Slender Man-esque character too, with the
Yeah.
jack-o'-lantern or something.
And the blades on the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, when Edward's there and he's getting taught etiquette and this guy's making him, it makes me think of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. How
Yes.
Sauron, he doesn't have a body. He convinces his thralls to make him a body, right? He gets his
Ooh.
followers to make him a body so that he can come into the earth. This is the thing that I think most people miss about Edward Scissorhands. He's a creep. To me, he's the villain. That was my takeaway. He's the bad guy. He's the creep. It's not that he's evil. He's an abomination. That should have never happened. You know what I mean? Perversion of nature. That one lady's right. She has the gut feeling. But the way that he's getting taught etiquette here, also, humor. Not everything's satanic, but humor and dark humor is right. The word satire comes from Saturn, and tragedy and comedy. Those are kind of Saturn's two hats, his two masks that he wears. So it makes me think of Sauron, and that's kind of the AI transhumanist agenda too. Is what a lot of religion people believe, is that if you make a machine that's capable of consciousness, it will get filled
Yes.
with with a negative consciousness. That's kind of the AI philosophy, or at least the occult potential, the esoteric potential behind the AI transhumanist agenda, is that if you can make something close to sentient, does that mean it's automatically going to get filled with a good entity? No, probably not. I mean, no, that's why there's all these warnings against creating life, false life, interfering in the spark of life, the breath of life, makes me think of, they don't really, in the movie, you don't really see him for what he is. Everyone's acting like he's just a
Look
normal
at that
guy.
smile, dude.
Yeah, everyone's acting like he's normal. But ultimately, he's robotic. He's an artificial humanoid in
Yes.
some way. And it seems, yes, he's attempting to have good feelings and he's attempting to feel love and all this stuff, but he's an abomination. His wires are all messed up. And I do think that this transhumanist agenda is kind of being advertised or predicted in this movie, where if you create this Frankenstein thing, a homunculus, whatever you want to call it, if you create this thing, no matter how big or small it is, if it's a vessel for consciousness, you better take great measure to make sure you're pulling in a good spirit, right? And if you have an angel on the phone, why would you want to put it into a robot? The angel can do what angels do without a body, right? That's where the negativity comes in. It's the dark entities who need a body to do what they're doing because they're on a lower plane than us, right?
They need
An
a
angel,
physical medium, yeah.
yeah, an angel doesn't need or want to come down to the physical realm. But these things that are lower or lesser than us, they want to come up. So a ticket into a human body or a ticket into a little robot. You know, you ever see like the Christian pastor who's talking about the Furbies? He's like, these Furbies, these are, don't be mistaken now. Okay.
What?
The Furby, that's like the
With
little
like the little
talk.
beaks?
Yeah, like a Furby, like the little talking, like beanie baby things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this old video of like a super Christian, like fundamental Christian who's afraid of calls, thinks everything's demonic. And
Check this one out.
he's got like one of his kids' Furbies. And he's like,
The fuck is that?
don't be mistaken now. These Furbies are straight from the devil, okay? They talk, they preach. I heard one call the name of Satan under its breath. He's saying all this stuff. He's like, and there's something to that. If a thing can talk and like respond to people in the room, what's stopping a negative entity from inhabiting that vessel?
Well, this gets into the stories of the homunculus, like Albertus Magnus and all these guys that created the brazen heads that would prophesize and talk to them. The Knights Templar, Baphomet, allegedly was the head of John the Baptist, right? Because there are ancient, at least Egyptian beliefs, that if you have the head of a prophet, it'll prophesize to you or divinate to you. So this idea goes far back, and the point of a homunculus for some scholars was that it was actually a vessel. Some called it artificial demon. Others called it, a vessel. It had no soul, so it could be inhabited by an angel or a demonic entity, right? Depend. If you look at the origins of alchemy, which come from the Nephilim, right? What a better safe, what a better a backup plan than to teach this to people so later on you could come back, right? And we have this whole thing now of cloning and how you said this transhumanist agenda where if the body is a perfect specimen, right, to house a soul, right? We don't know what a soul is. We don't know what consciousness is. If the human body and anatomy can house this thing, how far do we need to go down the line until computers and electronics are also perfect enough to attract a consciousness or a soul or something of this nature? Because we have quantum computers, whatever the hell that means, that allegedly the way that they compute information is by reaching into parallel dimensions and extracting information from this parallel dimension into ours for us to then decipher it and see if we can use that information. That's allegedly how they've said these quantum computers work. I mean, you have people talking about this all the time. This is nothing new. This is years old at this point. So what else do they have behind the scenes? So I'm absolutely on board with you when it comes to that. I do believe that, yes, let's say Edward Scissorhands is humanoid robot golem homunculus Frankenstein creation. He's a humanoid thing. He's a non-human or something, right? And it's kind of reminding me of, right, because you're talking about demons and things of this nature. And his suit is kind of reminding me of Deadpool, which Deadpool is also kind of demonic too. He's immortal. He's a mutant of some sort, right?
Yeah.
And he's an anti-hero is what they call him. So kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah. 100%.
So anyways, we have him here. He's trying to smile, and we get introduced to the Winona.
The grape van.
The
grape van. Yeah. So here, I'll take this one, Juan. Okay. I'm the van expert here. I'm also
yes,
the grape.
you are.
I'm also the grape expert here, but I'm also the grapist of the show.
What the hell are you talking about? Go ahead.
It's almost like halfway through the movie where we meet the love interest. It is Winona Ryder. she plays the daughter, the teenage daughter of the family that Edward Scissorhands hasn't met yet, but he's staying at her house. He's staying in her room because she's out of town or something. She's out with her friends, right? The parents have their hands off the wheel. They don't care much about their kids, right? And the daughter, teenage daughter, she's out getting pounded like all night in this flaming grape van that her and her friends like roll around town in. And it's a total Tim Burton perv scenario where he's at the beginning when you first meet her, they're in the van. They spill out of the van, right? Like, what are they doing in this van? And then later on, the boyfriend, her boyfriend, she's got a boyfriend. Edward wants to be with her. She ends up, pissing off her boyfriend, getting with Edward. Then the boyfriend ends up killing Edward at the end of the movie, but not to spoil it. But then a little bit later, so before that happens, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, his name's Jim, I think. Jim, right? And her name's Kim.
Here, I'll tell you right now. Hold on, let me pull up the cast. So we have Edward, Kim, which is Winona Ryder.
Yeah, she's Kim and he's Jim. So Jim and Kim, they spill out of this van. That's like where they've been for like the last day or couple days or whatever in this van. And Johnny Depp's sleeping in her bed. She comes home, finds him in her bed. He pops the waterbed with his fingers, with his scissor hands, because he's...
Doesn't Freddy Krueger do that too? He like comes up on the waterbed and grabs the people?
I don't remember. I haven't seen any.
Does.
Well, Johnny Depp, they're shocked, right? They're scared of each other. They didn't expect each other in the same room. And whatever. Later on, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, Jim and Kim, Jim is like, come on, babe. We got to save up some money. How are we going to get all this money so we can get our own van, babe? Yeah. Won't that be the dream? You, me, the van, just banging all night long, just skipping school, van lifing. And as a van lifer, I did 5 years in my van. It's like...
must have smelled crazy in there, huh?
It's very grapey. Okay, the whole... Like, it's not a good van life he's talking about. He's just talking about, like, being up to no good in the van. And it's weird. It's creepy. It's like Tim Burton couldn't think of anything, like, more normal boyfriend-girlfriend stuff. I don't know.
Do it.
But, yeah, here, let's... Wagwam, thanks for the $1.99. Found you on Sam Tripoli's. I'm Californian.
Yikes.
Well, you can take your take your
commie bucks.
Take your California commie bucks and shove them, okay? Take that 35% tax and shove it. No, just kidding. Appreciate it, man. Another Cali, bro.
Cali 305. What?
Vehicular Alchemy with the $4.99. Anything if weird about the family Helena Carter comes from. Apparently, I've heard she's part... Someone on YouTube said she's a Rockefeller. That she's descended... Or the Rothschilds. That she's either a Rothschild or a Rockefeller. Let's see if we can... fact check that.
So let's look at her early life. She came from a prominent British political her father, Raymond Bonham Carter, who came from a prominent British political family, was a merchant banker and served as the alternative British director representing the Bank of England at the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. during the 1960s. Whoa. She is her mom is a psychotherapist who is of Spanish and mostly Bohemian. Whoa.
Bohemian Brazilian. She's Bohemian French French hyphenated Brazilian background. Brazilian.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That answers that.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
It's a trust fund baby. Right.
Yes, she is.
Nepo baby. That
She
called
doesn't
in.
need
She's
to
good.
act.
And she's been in a lot of movies too.
Yeah.
Tim Burton, a lot of Tim Burton movies. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Corpse Bride, Big Fish, Sweeney Todd, Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows. I haven't seen this one, but Johnny Depp's in it, of course. Fight
Lord
Club.
Zed. Yeah. Lord Zed says Freddy Krueger is Edward Scissorhands. It's the same story. Makes sense.
He grows up. Oh, really? Huh.
Cali 305 with the 199. Can I get some Brazilian accent? Let's see.
$5.
Give me something to read.
I don't know what here, read
I have to warm up to it.
all right, hold on. We'll just keep talking and then we'll get to something and then we'll pull it up and you can read it. I won't forget, I promise. So we have the grape van. Here, this Scooby-Doo van.
Yeah, the flaming grape van. The boyfriend's a douche. She comes home, she's scared.
Edward likes to watch too, right? He was like kind of being like a little peeping Tom. He really
Yeah,
didn't
he's
say
being
anything. She's getting undressed until she finally notices him.
Yeah. And also something that stood out to me is two of like the troublemakers. The chick who's super horny and wants to bang Edward, she's redheaded. And then the boyfriend of the girlfriend, Jim, he's not so much redheaded in this movie, but the actor is a redhead. He has very rosy features. So two of kind of the antagonists in the movie have red hair, which I thought was interesting. We've
You're the
been
little
talking.
devils.
I didn't notice this. They're not just people.
No, the little devils. They have little horns. Oop,
Can you zoom in on it?
no.
Okay,
Here,
so
but
he is the devil.
I'll pull it up. I'll pull up a little.
I mean, the fingers, the scissors on his fingers, it looks like a horror movie monster, like the silhouette. It seems like, I don't know, just like claws, just seems like claws. Good point. Yeah, they're devil. They're like devil bunnies.
Yeah.
Something. Little lamb. They're like little lambs, like Aleister Crowley lamb.
Yeah. Like little aliens. They're
Lamb
like
people.
upside down. They have like a face down here, which is there's a lot of medieval paintings of with the faces down by their abdomen at the bottom.
Right.
A lot of stuff. So
Well, here, let's skip through a little bit more. Skip around a little faster.
all right. So he's carving people up, or he's carving the hedges up. And then her boyfriend, he said he's a blonde. The boyfriend? He's blonde.
Yeah, he looks really blonde here, but in the Breakfast Club, I think he's more ginger. He's definitely rosy featured. Also, his name is very close to Anthony. His name's Anthony Hall.
Of Anthony Weiner.
Hang on. Are they related?
Who?
Dexter. Dexter's name is Michael
C. Hall.
C. Hall. This guy's name is Anthony Michael Hall. And they both, you said he's not redheaded.
Oh, right here, he's not. You can. Oh, maybe it's the coloring. Yeah, he might be a little redheaded.
He's strawberry blonde. In the Breakfast Club, he's more redheaded.
Let me take this off because
yeah, in the Breakfast,
her titties a little bit. Wouldn't want to get flagged on YouTube.
He has rosy features. We'll just say that. Definitely blonde, but I'm going to call it strawberry blonde. Okay, but the similarity in names is is interesting. I have to check to make sure they're not related.
I want to say at the bank scene, I think he calls him non-human or something or other because he has like no credit, no social security, no nothing. He literally doesn't exist, so he's not able to get a loan for his idea of a salon. Right there, he is right there.
Yeah.
He's kind of redheady. I don't know.
He's rosy. His skin is red,
Yeah.
He's definitely has red hair. It's just very blonde, But okay. That stood out to me. But go
This?
to the part. Oh, yeah, they frame him. A little
Yes.
bit before that, when he bangs the chick.
Oh,
Go to
I
the part
skipped that
where
part because she kind of shows her chest.
there's
I don't
no
want to get.
nips. We're good. We're good.
All right. I mean, I'm demonetized. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck, dude. I'm demonetized, dude. You're the one that we got pinged. If you want to see this,
Yeah, he
these
goes to
tits.
the bank. I thought that was funny too. But okay,
So she.
this chick comes onto him. Just leave it. One of these. Go back to where she's straddling him. Yeah, okay. There. That encapsulates the scene well. This chick, what's her business? I can't even tell. She lures him into her business, like where she works. Brings him into the back room and seduces him. Puts him down in the chair. You can tell she's super into the blades. Like
Yes.
she has like a knife fetish. She's pretty much like, "Oh my god, cut me up." Like, he's like feeling her up with the knives and shit. And he's very nervous. Like he doesn't want to be there, Come on guys, we've all been here, okay?
I would have caved. I mean, I'll say it.
40 45-year-old gilf
I'm Puerto
starts
Rican
giving
though, so
she mounts him like a bucking bronco, and the chair tips over, right? But what was very interesting is he gets up and leaves, like bolts out of there when the chair falls over, and she's pissed off. She's disappointed. She's offended. She takes it really personally. And the next day, or like the next week, she straight up accuses him of grape.
yep.
Okay. These bitches be trifling, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Careful out there. Most of them are like this, okay? Just by the way, most females have this in their brain. I'm just kidding. Not it's a good percentage of them though are batshit crazy like that. So be careful turning women down. Okay, they might never forgive you.
Yeah.
But I'm just kidding. That's what happens to him. He bolts. She's pissed. She's offended. Takes revenge on him. Okay, says, "Oh," tells all her friends, "Oh, he tried to grape me. Would you believe how he attacked me like that?" No,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. Total manipulator. But it kind of ties into the being redheads being more like hysterical or more violent or more mischievous or more deceitful. Redheads being more
Spicy.
cunning, yeah, spicy, revengeful, you name it. This movie really plays into that. And I think they chose a redheaded character on purpose. But something else I noticed was a little bit later, no, before this, he cuts all the women's hair,
Yes.
right? This is
Mhm.
before that. So he cuts all the women's hair. You know what this made me think of? And he goes to the bank a little bit later, which made me really think of it. The Zohan. Have you seen the Zohan?
No.
Don't mess with the Zohan, dude.
Oh,
You got
isn't that with Ben Stiller?
no Adam Sandler, you fucking anti-Semite. Not all Brazilians look the same.
Oh, my bad, dude. Well, yeah, okay. So Adam Sandler, I'm thinking of Zoolander, I think. That was Ben Stiller, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, got my Brazilians mixed up.
Yep. For real, for real. It's like someone holds up a picture of LeBron James and like, that's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. So here, this is so the scene where she straddles him is after he cuts all their hair, and she was the first one to get her haircut right here, where
Yeah.
she's clearly enjoying having the knives on her
Yes.
throat area, right? So she's into some shit, bro. And
He puts like the knife up against her throat, or like the scissor up against her throat, and like you hear like the razor noise. Yeah, right there. And she's like, she's like, she can't contain herself. And I immediately thought of the Zohan. This had to be like the inspiration for the Zohan. And Juan, if you don't know, those who don't
the
know,
Zoolander.
this
Somebody said the Zoolander.
we
Oh
can't say
man,
that. That's too much.
we can't. All right, whatever.
No, no, no. So
Fuck 'em.
the Zohan is a movie about an Israeli spy, literally a Mossad super soldier, who abandons his life of fighting terrorism in the Middle East to become a hairdresser in New York.
What I remember. See, I
Funniest,
remember seeing this one.
funniest movie I've ever seen. I think this is my dad's least favorite movie he ever saw. Hated it. Never forgave us for bringing this home and like playing it on DVD at the house.
Uh-oh.
This movie's hilarious. I really, really like this movie. It's hilarious. It's funny about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Very funny. This was like 15 years ago. You can make a joke about it, anything. And it is a very funny movie. Okay. It's like the Tropic Thunder. Like Ben Stiller had Tropic Thunder. Adam
Yeah.
Sandler has the Zohan. It's his best work by far.
I'd have to rewatch it. It's been a long time since I saw it.
Now, in that movie, it's the same thing. He's a hairdresser. He wants to be a hairdresser, but he's also a Mossad super soldier. And every woman that meets him is like obsessed with him and wants to bang him. But they're all old ladies. They're all like super, super old ladies. He does their hair and then bangs them. That's the movie. So he's like the number one. By the end of the movie, he's like the number one hairdresser in New York because he just bangs all the grandmas when they get their hair done. And that's the movie. But it's like, why does he have so much power, you know? Is it like is he really that good looking, or is it like a Mossad thing? Right.
Check out this guy's screen name. What the fuck? Oh man. Billy Madison is good. They're making a remake of that, no? Like coming out soon.
I don't know, but Adam Sandler lives in Florida. Okay, dude, we're doing the Zohan next.
Are we?
Honorary Florida movie because Adam Sandler is as Brazilian as it gets, and he's from Boca Raton. I don't know if he's from there, but he lives in Boca. His mom lives in Boca, and Adam Sandler's always in Boca Raton, Florida, my hometown. So we're doing Don't Mess with the Zohan next.
He was born in New York, bro.
Okay, well, he lives in Florida a lot of the time.
His father-in-law.
You were born in New York. You were born in Puerto Rico. Get the fuck off the show. Get out of here.
Adam Sandler's father-in-law arrested with gun and bag at Broward. Or I thought it said coke and bag. Never mind. Read that wrong. Anyways, all right, we'll do that next. We'll talk about that. There you go.
Honorary Florida movie.
All right, so
yeah. Oh, and then he goes to the bank after that, which I thought was funny. The hairdresser scene, then he goes to the bank. Very kind of Brazilian coded.
Which, by the way, the golem is of Brazilian lore, which he kind of fits that code. He gets caught here. They frame him. He doesn't know any better, so he's walking towards the police and keeps walking towards him. Here's the one black person in the entire movie, I think, that shows up, which
Yeah.
is the cop, and he's kind of sympathetic towards him. And then this is the part where everything takes a turn, right? He kind of starts acting off. He starts showing his anger, where he starts to put his nails or his hands on everything and starts tearing up the wallpaper. And that's when he goes on the rampage and cut all the hedges, the legs off the hedges he had trimmed, and then he did that devil thing in front of the religious lady's window with the red eyes. So here he is, like tearing up the wallpaper and everything. So he kind of has a turn as a character after the scene that he gets framed. I guess he's seen like the true nature of people. They can backstab you, even though they ask you for things. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing to do. So he's trying to people please, but it's not going well for him. He doesn't really understand good from right and bad and good and all this sort of stuff. So he's having a dilemma there. And what else we got? They're putting up some. I saw a question. Is this a Christmas movie? Would you consider this a Christmas movie?
Yeah, towards the end.
So this is the scene where he cuts her hand by mistake. He's kind of like swinging his hands around. He cuts her hand, and the boyfriend chases him away. He ends up chasing him away. She wants to break it off with him, and this is where he goes on his little rampage. And this is the scene where he does the little devil in front of her window, which is the lady that's been accusing him of being some sort of vessel and demonic entity, and how you're saying maybe he is the devil at the end, right? Because he does
Yes.
kill the kid in the end. They're
Yeah.
wearing a lot of red, and then this is the scene where he gets chased.
Oh, also, this is a thing that goes from the beginning of the movie till the end. He does a lot of dinosaur carvings.
Yeah.
He sculpts the bushes into dinosaurs, multiple dinosaurs. So, Tim Burton, nice try with your dinosaur agenda. Okay. Nice try.
Is that a Brazilian thing? Did
Here,
a
here,
Brazilian
here.
find that?
Yeah, yeah. Here, let me do my Brazilian accent. Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg. Jurassic Park. There we go. That's all you
You
get.
sounded like what is it, Eight Crazy Nights or whatever, that Adam Sandler movie. You sound
Oh
like
yeah.
the little old man. What's his name?
I don't know. What
You
is
never
his
seen that?
name? I have
Um,
seen it. Yeah, the animated basketball movie.
kind of. Adam Sandler, Eight Crazy Nights. That movie's hilarious, dude. His name is it Davy Stone? Is that the one?
Mhm.
No, Davy Stone, White Duvall, somebody. Anyways, yeah, the little old man. You guys know what I'm talking about. This guy right here, the little man with the club foot or whatever it was. Anyways, you sound
Yeah,
like him.
he's like a basketball coach, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that when I was a kid.
All right, so this is the part where towards the end you find out he was gonna get a set of hands, and right before he's about to get his hands, the inventor has a heart attack. Right, so kind of different from Frankenstein. Frankenstein destroys his creator. In this scene, he just has, a heart attack, and you can kind of see after that his whole life is shattered. And what happened to the inventor's body, we don't know, but he just lied there, and he like cuts his face, which is weird because he's trying to, I guess, caress his face or something, and he cuts his face, and you see.
Oh, dude, direct Dexter reference, or Dexter's referencing this movie.
Well, when he
Totally.
takes the samples.
He every time he kills someone, he makes a slash on their cheek in the same way, and he looks at the blood just like that. Set in Florida.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the common thread? Maybe there's none, or maybe there's no official link between the two. But what the common thread is, psychopathy,
Mm-hmm.
murderous, like sociopath, psychopath, this kind of faking it. Everyone's happy, cheery around you, and you're just stone cold pretending to be human. That's what I see them having in common. But okay. Who
Really,
knows?
speaking of Florida, I wanted to add this when you were talking about the lady liking the knife by her throat or whatever. You
Yeah.
ever hear about this story? The Florida man tries to cut off and eat a karate teacher's toes. Did you see that in Florida?
Dude, what? What is this?
So
Based
there are some people that get off on, I guess, having things amputated off their body and then consuming it. And there was a story in Florida where this guy was going to eat some dude's toes for some concert tickets, right? So
hang on, hang on. How does that equate to concert tickets? Like where's the money coming from?
hold on, let me find the actual news article. He was going to do it
You
for
why do you need
uh
my help to cut your toes off and eat your own toes? Or did I eat your toes?
he
Did
was
the other
into it, bro. He wanted somebody to cut him off for him.
but
Let's
he
see
had
here.
someone else. Sorry, I'll let you get to it.
Let me find it. Let me find it. Hold on. Uh oh my god. All right. I can't find it, but it was in it's Florida Man HBO series. It was one of the things that they spoke about. They did an episode on it, but it's based off of an actual thing that happened in Florida. So let me try and find I can't find the news article. I'm only seeing that one. But anyways, this guy wanted to have his toes uh cut off in exchange for some tickets. Let me see if I can find the can't find it. It's fine. Anyways, yeah, that did happen in Florida. I can't find it right now. I'll pull it up later.
Oh yeah, good point. These people are bringing up the Big Lebowski. Now I don't know if Lebowski's Jewish, but it sounds Polish. Shit, I don't know if Lebowski's Brazilian, but it sounds Polish, and many Poles are Brazilian. Make that make sense, people. But basically, it's John Goodman who plays a Brazilian in the movie. He's like, "Oh, I can't go bowling on that day because it's the Sabbath," you know. And that's the guy who's like, "Oh, do you need a toe? I can get you a toe. You need black market body parts? I can get you those." Whatever.
So it
Isn't that
says here, um, a new show on Max that tells outlandish but true stories about people from Florida alongside reenactments by a host of well-known comedic actors focuses on the 2019 tale of Phil, the guy who tried to fund a trip to see bass music artist Bass Nectar in
no,
Colorado by
no, yeah. Hang on, let's reel that back real quick, okay? Bass music,
bass music. Go fuck yourself.
bass music.
Narco Longo. Who cares?
That's
Bass Nectar in
I was
Colorado
going down to the river. I was fishing for
by
bass. I
helping
was
a man he met on Craigslist
cold
fulfill his
beer and a bag
this
of bass.
fucking
And
asshole. Oh man, who gives a fuck how I say bass bass? Who cares? How do you say it, Narco? How do you
let's
say
go
it?
on. Let's go on down to the bass festival. A little bit of bass nectar on there.
How do you say it, bitch?
Bass. The boom, boom, boom
All
bass.
right. Bass music artist Bass Nectar in Colorado by helping a man he met on Craigslist fulfill his biggest fantasy, having a stranger cut off, cook, and eat 3 of his toes. That was his fantasy, bro.
Is that
What a
like What type of cuisine are we talking?
I don't know, but apparently that was his fantasy, dude. That's what he liked. And this isn't the first time this has happened. This particular one happened in Florida. I remember there was another dude who his fantasy was to get like offed by somebody, and there was a whole case as to if somebody wants you to off them, is that murder? If that's their if that's their choice in fantasy, what would you consider that?
Manslaughter. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Somewhere in between. Just call. We can't say this. I think we're in dangerous territory here.
Are we
advocating violence? Yeah.
Oh well, okay, fine. We won't talk about it, but
like you can't recommend methods.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. Well. Again, this is the article. Victim of cannibal agreed to be. He agreed to it. So what? Then what? Can you prosecute somebody for doing that if you can prove that they wanted it? Anyways, let's finish this movie up. It is a Florida thing. It did happen. Anyways, interesting. We have here Winona embracing. This is the part where he can't hug her because obviously he's got knife for hands. And then her boyfriend kind of goes haywire and pulls up to the house.
Also, the younger brother, like we never hear from him at all. It's like he doesn't exist. The family doesn't care about him. I noticed the family doesn't care about their kids. That jumped out to me. The daughter's out with the boyfriend all the time, all day long, all week long. It seems like out at night in the van. And the boy, he's like, no one pays attention to him either.
Here, the town kind of mobs up on him, right? Chases him off into the woods. The cop fires off a few shots, and it kind of insinuates that he's, taking him out. And everyone's looking. And then she follows him in there. They meet one last time. Her boyfriend shows up with a gun, tries to
well, what's interesting is when the cop shoots up into the air, he just gets in his car and leaves.
Yeah.
And the mob
he felt bad for him. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, he's also like, well, not my problem.
We didn't do nothing.
He just drives away and like lets the mob do what they want, Like, yes, he feels bad for him, but he also lets them.
Well, he can't stick around too long.
He's kind of lazy. I think he was a DEI hire.
So the boyfriend tries to take him out, right? Then he ends up stabbing him. Did the movie end? Oh shit. Hold on.
Shit.
That thing is acting up. I can't. Oh man. The movie bugged out, bro.
That's pretty much the end.
It's pretty much it, yeah.
He slays the boyfriend kind of accidentally, kind of not.
No, I think he did it. I think he did it on purpose, bro. I think he did it on purpose. Or he saw that he was after him, and then he went ahead and stabbed him in the heart and threw him from the second story window. And
now,
then, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, the movie ends here. She confesses her love for him, which also mind blowing. Like, yes, actions speak louder than words, but he says nothing, and he's like mentally retarded. And she's like, "Oh my, we can never be together. Oh, I love you so much. What are we going to do? Oh my God." And it's like, bitch, what's wrong with women's brains? They love the troubled, weak, ugly duckling. Hollywood is just brainwashing them to like to value, like to be sympathetic for people instead of valuing like strong, healthy, smart, the obvious, like what people should be attracted to. It's like weak, silent, sociopathic, all these things, whatever. Jumps out to me. The point about him being the devil, like I said at the beginning, there's indicators that he's the devil. Juan pointed out the things that he carves out of the red paper. That's devilish. The lady, as soon as the religious lady clocks him, as soon as she clocks him when he first gets into the neighborhood, she knows right away that he's satanic. Right away. Doesn't even have to hear about him, know about him. She knows he's trouble. She knows he's marked by Satan, something like that.
Yeah.
She says.
Yeah.
What else? Satan, for those who don't know, hell is freezing cold. Satan is a winter deity. Satan is Santa at the North Pole, right? And this little mountain, like Mordor, okay? Mordor is like the Black Mountain in paradise, almost. The Shire's over there. The elves live over there. It's all nice and beautiful. And then there's Mordor. And this is like Mordor, but it also makes me think of hell. It's like hell in the middle of the world, instead of like in the core of the planet, in the middle of the world, like the North Pole. Does that make sense? Like when people say over time, hell, a lot of people used to think hell was north, or that hell was where it's colder. Over time, as more witches started to get burned,
Witches and bitches.
As soon as the church started using fire as a punishment, they wanted to scare people with fire. You'll pass straight through fire into hell. They start coming up with concepts like this, fire being punishment. Then they started making hell flaming hot and burning, right? Because that's the immediate pain when you're tied to the stake and burned at the stake. It hurts. Well, put that to the side. Hell is supposed to be cold. Hell's supposed to be freezing cold. Dante's, the deepest layer of hell, Dante's Inferno, is a blizzard. Yeah, it's freezing cold. So what is life? Life is warmth and humidity. What is cold? What is death? Cold and dry, right? In order for life to exist, there has to be warmth, light, and moisture. Death is the absence of those. So Satan's realm is cold, freezing cold. Satan is Santa. I'm not saying it's necessarily just the North Pole, but hell used to be a name for the North Pole. Then hell became a term for the place down under, right down below. Now, how'd this happen? They used to say in the middle of the world, in the middle of the earth is hell. Now, on the flat earth model, the middle of the earth is not it's not the core of an apple. It's not the core of a ball. According, on the geocentric model, the Ptolemaic model, the center of the world is the bullseye in the middle of a circle. That's the freezing cold center of the world that they used to think of as hell. Like Helsinki, hell.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came up with the heliocentric model at roughly the same time that they're burning witches, like, 1400, 1500, 1600, the globe and the ball model and the heliocentric model start to become prevalent. It's also the Inquisition, where they're doing most of the burning. The church is doing most of the burning and interrogations and witch trials and all this. So hand in hand, you had the ball theory and you had the hot, fiery hell concept going hand in hand, right? So the center of the earth used to be, hell at the center of the earth used to be the freezing cold bullseye of the planet. Now it's the scalding hot core of an Earth, of a globe, right? You see? So hell is freezing. People forget about that today, but hell is freezing, snowy. Juan in Spanish, we say winter, invierno, right? And in
Yes.
Spanish, you say, sorry, and for hell, you say infierno with an F,
Hmm.
right? Just a simple V versus an F. That switch between hell and winter in Latin languages. When, keeping in mind that this movie's filmed in Florida, what force is strong enough or powerful enough to make it snow in Florida? Because they make it look like he's shaving ice, he's carving ice, making an ice sculpture, and that he makes so many ice shavings that it makes it snow all over Florida. And apparently the lady Kim or whatever, she tells the story like, "Oh, I know he's still alive because whenever I see it snowing in Florida, we know it's from him." Now, yes, that is, it's like part of the story, but it's also a part of Satan. Another nickname for the devil is the weatherman, or like the person who's in charge of the weather, the deity that you sacrifice to for better weather, right? So there was this association between the weather and the devil and God. God controls the weather. But I'm talking about this specifically,
Hmm.
a guy who's already been accused of being Satan,
The
marked
Prince
by
of the
Satan.
Airwaves or something like that. What do they call him that? Prince of the Air.
Yeah, something like that. And Edward Scissorhands, not only is he part of like this transhumanist agenda, he can manipulate the weather too. Like
Well,
he can make it blizzard in Florida, you know?
and that's the part where it kind of jumps into the homunculus territory because that's his magic, I guess, right? Because homunculus
Mhm.
are supposed to be magical because they exist in two realities at once because they came from the art. They came from magic, so they have some magic to them. So this is maybe his more magical aspect. Maybe his presence of like wow, kind of lulling people to sleep to like him, right? This charisma that emanates
Yeah.
from him is also part of his magical power, if you will, right?
Yeah, you're right. Something else, my last note here. This movie is super pedo coded, super PDF file coded. Okay. Not only is the douchebag boyfriend obsessed with stuffing his girlfriend in a van, right, and just like prowling, and that's like his one aspiration for life is to have a van to bang chicks in. At the end of the movie, when Edward is like missing, there's a neighbor, very creepy neighbor, who's sitting in his garage or sitting in his driveway. And the son, remember I said we don't hear much from the son for most of the movie. The parents are like negligent parents. They're like disinterested parents. Like they're there, they're fulfilling parental duties, but they're not there like emotionally. Like they're so invested in the small talk and the neighborly, like, "Hey, Tom. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Steve. We'll see you at the barbecue." You like the artificial, like emotions. That's one of the more interesting things that is being conveyed through the movie is that Edward Scissorhands is so like autistic and weird, but at the same time, this is like, oh, it's so deep. The neighbors and all the normal people, they're like the ones who are artificial and like putting on fake emotions. I don't know. It jumped out to me that they're not involved in their kids' lives very much. Like I said, the daughters with the boyfriend in the van, and the kid when Edward's missing. The kid, the boy, the younger brother, he's I don't know if he's trying to help or if he's just walking down the street by himself. It's like, where's this kid going? Why isn't he with his parents? His parents are like they're not doing much. And then one of the neighbors says something really weird to him. And this like tied it in where both of the kids are getting like pursued sexually. And the parents are like, parents are nowhere to be found. And when the boy's walking away, one of the neighbors says to him, "Yeah, go look for Edward," something like that. And then he goes, "Like a good boy," and it like zooms in on his face. He's like a good boy. He's like, "Yeah," and he's this creepy pedo neighbor, and the boy is just like, and then he just keeps walking, and then it never gets addressed. The movie never talks about it, never like explains that. But the neighbor was a total pedo, totally like luring or like harassing this kid. It's very brief, but very sus. Go look at it. You guys will see what I mean.
So I didn't catch that. That's interesting. I want to add a couple more things. So I found this gem the other day, right? You're talking about Satan, winter, North Pole, and of course, Jack Black plays Satan in a movie, but it's about a dyslexic boy who writes a Christmas list to Santa Claus, but he says to Satan, North Pole, and it's all about Jack Black. And look at this little gingerbread man right here. This little gingerbread man looks like the cutouts that Edward Scissorhands was carving and cutting out of paper. That one right there.
Yeah.
So Dear Santa with Jack Black, who is Brazilian. I found this the other day. He is literally Satan in this movie, and he's supposed to be, Santa kind of sort of thing. So very interesting. I found this the other day on a live that I was doing. I stumbled across it by accident. But I wanted to add that
and Saint Nick, Santa Nick, Satanic. Come on.
And Little Nicky was again Adam Sandler's movie, right? Wasn't it like he was the son of Satan? Lil Nicky? You ever seen that movie?
No.
Never seen that movie?
No. But Nicolas Cage, he's a Capricorn too. Nicholas.
Little Nicky with Adam Sandler. He is the son of Satan and an angel who is tasked with returning his two brothers to hell and preventing them from destroying the boundary between good and evil on earth. So
damn. Maybe we should have an Adam Sandler superthon.
Decode.
Yeah.
So last thing. Hedge magic. I know we were gonna bring this up. It was interesting because hedges are being trimmed in this particular movie. So hedge magic or hedge witchcraft is a branch of witchcraft that focuses on connecting with nature and the magical energies of the natural world, particularly the boundaries between the everyday world and other realms. And what's interesting about this particular sect of witchcraft that it's practiced by simple solitary practices and a deep connection to the land of its spirits. And apparently it's done by like outliers, hermits, people who live maybe in castles by themselves, right? Which is very much like Edward Scissorhands, where he is by himself, solitary and all these different things. So it's practiced by people. It's not part of a coven or a group of people. It's one practitioner. So it is an actual thing I didn't even know about until you were kidding about it. And I was like, that's kind of funny, bro. Hedge funds and all this other stuff. And then I looked it up and it turned out to be an actual thing. So,
yeah. Edge. Again, I was talking about edge magic. No, I wasn't. Just kidding.
I'm not going to Google that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. My search history is already cooked as I'm definitely on some list somewhere, dude. I can't risk anymore. Yep. All right.
Well, here, let's see a couple more tips. John Sup with $5.
You owe me $250, bro.
Flight of the Navigator, the Yearling. I don't know what that is. Thanks,
the fuck
John
is
Sup.
that?
Call Cali 305 at the 499. If Edward Scissorhands were Brazilian, he'd be cutting coupons instead of hedges. Because no hands doesn't mean no bargain. A master coin clipper. That's a good
Oh,
one.
apparently it's a Adam Sandler movie. Flight of the Navigator. What? No.
I don't know.
The Yearling.
I don't know. Don't know them. Well, here, Vehicular Alchemy with the 499 says the duality of Juan's shiny scalp and Longo's flowing locks has made me almost at to enlightenment. Thanks for the show, fellas. Be easy.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for being here, dude. He always shows up, right? He's always in every stream. He's always tipping, always chatting.
Yep, recently,
up,
yeah. Hell yeah. Very proud to have you. Vehicular Alchemy.
This is a movie shot in Fort Lauderdale, partially. That's what he's talking about here. It's about a boy who gets abducted by aliens. Right here.
Is it like is this like an A-list movie or is this like B-list, like crappy Netflix tier?
No, it's Disney.
Ooh, what?
It was partially shot in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Norway, being co-produced by Viking. 1986. And it is a Walt Disney movie.
Let's do it.
There you go.
Let me see if was the Zohan filmed in Florida. Please. No, none of it. Damn.
You know they like their California, bro.
It's the funniest movie. One of the funniest movies ever. The Zohan. Well, here. That's about it for us tonight. Edward Scissorhands in the books. Still hate it. Still sucks. Tim Burton's a perv. He's not Brazilian, but we're going to keep looking. See what we can turn up.
So what's next? What are we going to do next? Are we going to do Zohar? Are we going to do this?
Zohar. You said Zohar.
Zohan. Who cares? Bass, bass.
No, there's something to that. The Zohar and the Zohan. That's yeah.
What do you want to do next?
I don't know. We'll come up with it.
All right. Well, hope everybody enjoyed this. This one was fun. This one was a fun one, even though the movie wasn't horrible. Wasn't the best. Wasn't horrible. How the hell Juan don't know how to say bass? You guys can suck my ass. How's that?
How the hell don't you know how to use grammar, bro? Doctor.
Oh, all right. Let's get the fuck out of here, dude. This is fun. Catch you guys next week. Thursday.
Everyone have a good night. Peace. See ya.
Bye.
Wait, here.
You gonna do the outro?
No, we'll just end it.
Fuck them.
See ya. Yeah.